Welcome to the Black Report. This is space for our voices heard, and we give you the headlines and the latest in Black news and views. I'm Romeo.
And I'm Brooke.
I'm Melissa.
And I'm Demi.
And we have to welcome y'all to the show, man. It's official. This is what it is for the Black Report. Demi and, of course, Melissa. Y'all ready to do this?
I don't know. I'm just over the moon right now.
We're so over the moon to have you.
Excited.
Let's get to it then. All right.
We are glad to have you both.
Yes.
I'm glad that this is the new team. Let's do this. You
Let's
know what I
roll.
mean?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, on today's show, LAPI President Patrice Marshall joins us to break down Governor Gavin Newsom's potential replacements for Kamala Harris's Senate seat. And Black Friday online sales increase. Maxine Waters tweets from Capitol Hill a new poll on student loan debt and news on the death of two culture icons.
Plus news on former President Barack Obama, Michael Jordan, and Faison Love. The U.S. women's soccer team stands up for Black Lives Matter, and an NFL team has COVID-19 setback.
We have all that and so much more. It's our voice and our truth. So let's talk about it. All right, here are your headlines for today. We have the details on what might be the first entirely female White House communications team in U.S. history. Sunday, President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris announced the members of their senior communications staff, and the team includes Simone Sanders and Karine Jean-Pierre. All right, here's what President-elect said in a statement. Joe Biden said, "I am proud to announce today the first senior White House communications team comprised entirely of women. These qualified, experienced communicators bring diverse perspectives to their work and a shared commitment to building this country back better." Okay, let's break down everyone on the team so far. We have former Obama White House Communications Director Jen Psaki. She's going to serve as press secretary. Kate Bedingfield will be White House Communications Director. She had been serving as deputy campaign manager and communications director for the campaign. Pili Tobar was named deputy White House Communications Director. You may remember her as the communications director for coalitions on the campaign. Karine Jean-Pierre will be principal deputy press secretary. You'll remember she was a senior advisor on the Biden campaign and later served as Harris's chief of staff. Simone Sanders has been a senior Biden advisor on the campaign, and she will now serve as senior advisor and chief spokesperson for the vice president. Ashley Etienne will be communications director for the vice president. She had also been a Biden campaign senior advisor. Another Biden campaign senior advisor is Elizabeth Alexander. She will serve as communications director for First Lady Jill Biden. You know, people have been closely following this announcement, specifically Simone Sanders, right?
Yeah.
It seemed everybody wanted to know which job she would get. I think she has been seen as one of Joe Biden's most important, one of his best hires on the campaign, and she's now on the vice president's team. Jen Psaki will be behind that press podium. I am curious on what you all think about this, because I did, know a lot of people wanted to see a Black woman on that podium at the White House, but an all-women senior team is a big deal.
Yeah, I agree with you, Brooke. And speaking about Simone Sanders, I'm really looking forward to her book. She's got a book coming out with HarperCollins in 2021, and the title is amazing. It's called No, You Shut Up, Speaking Truth to Power and Reclaiming America. I am going to be first in line for the pre-sales for that. But, yeah.
And when you think about what her mom accomplished, man, of course, her mom was great doing things for the Omaha Star. Also, she was a former director for the Great Plains Black History Museum. So Simone was destined to be successful, right? And to see what she did, of course, when she was back with Bernie Sanders, what she did with CNN, I'll tell you right now, I'm so happy for her. Really am. Yeah, definitely.
Same. I am so excited.
Go for it, Demi.
I want to hop in there and one step over you. I'm so excited about Simone Sanders as well. Like the way that she put her body on the line. Like I remember she deserved. Did you see that video?
Yeah.
Like where she literally ran on stage. Like she deserves this and more. Moving right along, with less than 2 months until the presidential inauguration, time is ticking for Governor Gavin Newsom to appoint a replacement for Vice President-elect Kamala Harris in the U.S. Senate. To say that Newsom is facing the pressure might be a little bit of an understatement. Now, a recent full-page ad addressed to Newsom ran in the San Francisco Chronicle, urging him to appoint a woman of color, and the open letter was signed by roughly 150 women from the Election Women Bay Area and the LA Women's Collective groups. The letter points out that the departure of Harris
after she leaves, there will only be 3 women of color left in the entire Senate. Now, the open letter only adds to the public pressure that Newsom is already facing as he makes his Senate pick. Now, former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown, he is openly urging his former mentee to not only commit to a woman of color, he is saying commit to a black woman. He says that there are several options, including Congresswoman Barbara Lee, Maxine Waters, and Karen Bass, and even San Francisco Mayor London Breed. Now, of course, not everyone is agreeing with this letter. Latino leaders from across the state came together to urge Newsom to appoint California's first ever Latino senator. And they say that it is time, okay? The state's 15 million Latinos, making up roughly 40% of California's population, that they are represented better. And I totally agree. Now here to discuss the highly sought after seat is president of LAPI, Patrice Marshall. Welcome to the Black Report, Patrice.
Hi, how are you?
Lovely. Now, before we get started, we all want to know here, what exactly is LAPI?
LAPI is the Los Angeles African American Women's Public Policy Institute. We are a 10-week training program in leadership development that focuses on preparing Black women for career pathways and to be more active in the public policy landscape, public affairs landscape, and civic engagement landscape.
Okay. Also, who are some of the names that our soulmates may be familiar with that are participated in LAPI?
The CFO of the Port of Los Angeles, Marla Blevins, local lobbyist Kelly Hawkins, California State Assemblywoman Sydney Kamlager Dove, newly elected Inglewood City Councilwoman Dion Falk, newly elected City Councilwoman in Culver City, Yasmin Imani McMorrin, newly elected school board member for the Charter Oak School District, Kristen McGuire Richardson, and former councilwoman in the city of Pasadena, Jackie Robinson.
All right.
Patrice, why do you think it's important for Newsom to pick a Black woman to replace Vice President-elect Kamala Harris?
So for context, there have only been 2 Black women to ever serve in the United States Senate, and Senator Harris being the second one. The first was Senator Carol Moseley Braun. She was elected in the 90s. And so when Senator Harris departs the Senate, there will be no Black woman at all in that body. There are a number of Black women that are serving in the Congress, but none in the Senate. So to have the absence of that voice, to have the absence of that perspective, to have the absence of that frame of mind in policymaking is a huge loss to our community.
Patrice, the Latino community makes a valid point. They make up roughly 40% of the population, and that their seat would be better represented in California. As a matter of fact, I wanted to read a quote by Mike Madrid, who's the co-founder of the Lincoln Project and a Latino voting trends expert. He said it would be a huge political mistake for Newsom to not pick a person of color, specifically one who is of Hispanic descent. What's your response to that?
I say 2 things. The first is that the Latino voting population does not mirror their physical population in the state 1-to-1. So there is a much higher number of Latino people who live in California versus those who vote in California. The second thing I will say is that there have been 2 opportunities where there have been Latino candidates on the ballot for U.S. Senate. The first was Councilwoman Loretta Sanchez, who ran against Senator Harris for the U.S. Senate seat when Senator Boxer vacated that seat. And the voters spoke and they chose Senator Harris. The second was in 2018 when former State Senator Kevin De Leon ran against Dianne Feinstein for the U.S. Senate. And the voters spoke again and they reelected Dianne Feinstein. So if Latino voters are committed to electing someone who represents their values, their interests, and their vision, they have missed 2 opportunities to do so at the ballot box. So I'm not willing to cede this appointment for personal preference and the easy way.
Awesome. Now, Patrice, I have a little bit more of a personal question for you. I was in my research here. I was like, digging, and I actually found out that we're sorors, and I have to know, how does it feel? Well, more importantly, what does it feel like to know that our fellow soror will also be the next Vice President of the United States and member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated?
So it is a tremendous sense of pride and gratitude because, one, women of Alpha Kappa Alpha have been leading at very, very high levels since our inception. So to see someone who shares our same experience and shares our commitment to service, our commitment to leadership, and our commitment to excellence, serve at the highest levels in the country and in the world, on the world stage in that way, certainly bodes well for future generations of Alpha women. It also shows an example of leadership for women. It shows an example of the power of HBCU graduates. It shows the power of the Divine Nine. And it also just lets you know that there are no limits on what Black women can do, what Black people can do, and where our leadership can take us.
Yes.
Patrice, I want to take it back to Harris's Senate seat just for a sec here, because there's a lot of talk about the requests being made and not necessarily much from the possible opinion of the decision maker. What do you think the likelihood is that Governor Newsom will listen to any of these requests and at the very least not replace Harris with a white woman or a man?
So Governor Newsom is a very astute public servant and a very astute elected official. Governor Newsom also knows that he has a lot of runway ahead of him in his political career. I certainly think that he is weighing all of these factors and wanting to make sure that he selects someone who will represent the people of California in the U.S. Senate. He also wants to make sure that he is choosing someone who will provide the leadership that represents the values of the people of California. And he also wants to make sure that in the future, should he seek other opportunities to serve, that he doesn't alienate key voting blocks. So he has a lot of hard decisions to make, but I do think that ultimately he knows that he will make one that will be the best for California, even if every single constituency is not 100% pleased. That is my hope.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us here today, my lovely Sora Patrice on the Black Report. You are welcome back absolutely anytime.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank
Take
you.
care.
Time's Up, the organization set up to fight sexual harassment in the workplace in the wake of the #MeToo movement, spent the bulk of its donations on executive salaries and only a fraction on legal costs to help victims in its first year. This is what records show. Tax filings show that the organization, which was founded by Hollywood celebrities and is made up from Time's Up Foundation and Time's Up Now, Inc., raised $3.6 million in 2018 in its first year of operation. However, less than 10% was spent on actually helping those women who have experienced sexual harassment. Filings show $312,000 was spent on the legal defense fund, while $1.4 million was spent on salaries, and more than $157,000 was spent on conferences at luxury resorts, and a further $58,395 was spent on travel. Lisa Borders was recruited to head Time's Up, but only spent 4 months at that organization after her 36-year-old son was accused of sexual misconduct. Nevertheless, the CEO managed to pull in a salary of over $342,000. The chief marketing officer, Rachel Terese, drew a salary of $295,000 for her efforts during the organization's first year, and treasurer Rebecca Goldman drew a salary of $255,327. Time's Up, which has been based in California, was formed in the wake of the Harvey Weinstein scandal in 2017, which saw famous names including Oprah Winfrey speak out alongside journalist and activist Gloria Steinem and actresses Jessica Chastain, Rosanna Arquette, and Mira Sorvino. You know, I hadn't heard that Oprah had actually said anything until recently, you guys. I actually wanted to, talk a little bit about that, because what Oprah said after about a year was, I've been processing the accounts of Harvey Weinstein's hideous behavior and haven't been able to find the words to articulate the magnitude of the situation. This is a story of one predator and his many victims, but is also a story about an overwhelming systemic enabling, and until the story is fully told, we will fall short of stopping future depredations on a similar scale. Why do you think that it took so long for Oprah to actually condemn her old friend Harvey Weinstein?
That's a question we all would probably like to know at some point. But what I do know is this: when it comes to the end of the day, people always want to donate and give to causes or to foundations, things of this nature. But when I see salaries like that going out
Bloated,
and then
crazy.
nothing's been done for people, that's a major problem.
Wait, okay, so I'm glad you want to talk about the taxes, because I think it's interesting what they're doing here. The nonprofit sector is typically women-dominated field, right? And they're not known to pay tremendously well, as opposed to corporate America, which is most male dominated, and you know those CEOs make bank. So what Time's Up is doing, and people may not agree with it, but what the organization is doing, they have like shifted their message to also include fighting systemic inequality.
Yes.
And what they're saying is we want to pay our CEOs a competitive salary so that a women-dominated field is seeing the same type of money that men make. And also, tax filings are confusing. It's weird, especially with nonprofits, because they have to break things up different ways.
Right.
Because of grants made to the Women's Law Center, Time's Up did actually report spending $1.7 million in the first 6 months of that same year to help 3,000 people. So it's just, you know, it depends on where you break it down, but it's all under the same umbrella. So I don't know. I don't have a problem with any of this.
Yeah, I just think that they just need to work on their messaging because it still is a little bit confusing, but it is still in its infancy. So
that's true. All right, in news from the motherland, officials say suspected members of the Islamic militant group Boko Haram killed at least 40 rice farmers and fishermen while they were harvesting crops in Nigeria's northern Borno state. The attack was staged Saturday in a rice field in Garin Kwashebi. Now, that's a Borno community known for rice farming, and the attack happened on the day that people there were casting votes for the first time in 13 years to elect local government councils. Though many didn't get to cast their ballots, the farmers were reportedly rounded up and killed by armed insurgents. Malam Zebmari is leader of a rice farmers association in Borno State, and he confirmed the massacre to the Associated Press and added that it is likely up to 60 people were killed. Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari expressed grief over the killings, and here's his statement. He says, "I condemn the killing of our hard-working farmers by terrorists in Borno State. The entire country is hurt by these senseless killings. My thoughts are with their families in this time of grief. May their souls rest in peace." This is awful. I saw a lot of people criticizing the president, President Buhari, there, basically saying he needs to do a better job of creating an atmosphere that doesn't allow Boko Haram to operate as it does in Nigeria.
Well, I think when you look at this situation, they said 2019 was one of the deadliest years. They may even surpass that, I'm not sure. But on top of this, you're going to have over 200 people that could die every day unless they get more food. And it's hard to do that with all of this going around them, right?
Yeah, the ramifications of it is terrifying.
It really is.
Yeah. Well, coming up, news on Maxine Waters, Black Friday sales, COVID-19, and student loans. Those stories next on The Black Report.
Even though there is so much against us,
you will see me choose to protect myself and my community from the coronavirus by wearing a face covering.
Because it's going to take all of us thinking about one another.
And even with my face covered, you will see me.
You will see me as a mother, a wife, a friend.
As an athlete who gave everything to the game I love.
As a father, leading by example.
As a sister.
An entertainer.
As a champion for my people.
You will see me finding a light in a dark time.
To unlock our creativity and push our craft.
You will see me demanding the space to tell the stories that matter.
As a man who knows that tough times don't last, but tough people do.
Join us in wearing a face covering to help stop the spread of the coronavirus.
Because covering your face is one small act of kindness that has the power to bring us together.
Over the last year or so, you've just been like a headline.
Hollywood Unlocked with Jason Lee Uncensored.
Sarah fell in love with a guy, had a kid. His name happened to be Tekashi 69. I'm sure he has a real name. I don't want to say it.
Every Friday.
If I'm telling you no, I have 2 black eyes. I don't even know how you're bringing yourself to be aroused to even want to do something with me.
There's going to be at least one person out there who feels like now they could tell their story because you told yours.
It's not just a donation.
It's a warm blanket.
It's a bottle of clean water.
It's a roof and a bed.
It's knowing someone cares.
It's feeling safe.
It's a today that's better than yesterday.
Every dollar you can spare helps so much more than you can imagine. Please donate now to Red Cross Disaster Relief. Your help is urgently needed.
Welcome back to the Black Report, your daily source for Black news, views, and opinions. American shoppers spent a record amount of money online during Black Friday this year as the coronavirus pandemic kept shoppers at home. An estimated $9 billion was spent on goods from U.S. retail websites as part of the annual shopping blitz, according to Adobe Analytics. The Associated Press reported that figure is a 22% increase over the last record set in 2019, when $7.4 billion was spent online. The news service reported a massive drop-off in in-person store visits to kick off the holiday season, with several major department stores and other retailers scaling back hours due to public health concerns. Sales of jewelry and footwear reportedly saw some of the largest decreases in terms of in-person sales.
Yeah, I got to agree with you on that, because at the end of the day, I would say this. Who wants to go stand in line to go into a store to get in line once again, especially with the pandemic and everything going on out there? Because they only allow between 20 and 25%, people inside as far as capacity. So definitely respect that. But check this out. Nearly 7 in 10 small businesses see the winter holiday season as a top sales opportunity for their business. According to the Visa Back to Business Study Holiday Edition, 60% of Americans will do the majority of their shopping with local retailers this year. Now, the Visa study noted, according to Deloitte, holiday retail sales this year should rise between 1% and 1.5%, amounting to between $1.147 trillion and $1.152 trillion during the November to January timeframe. But joining us now to discuss Cyber Monday holiday online shopping and give us some online business tips is Kimberly Rolfe, owner of the Southern California Virtual Business Center and professor of business at the University of Southern California. Welcome to the Black Report, Kimberly. How are you doing today?
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
Excited about having you here. Every Sunday on my show, I do something called, for our Instagram page, I do live, and I talk about, small business, especially Black-owned business. So it's really important that we encourage them the right way to go. So with all that's going on, should all small business come up with an online sales component?
Absolutely. It's so important that our small businesses today do all that they can to stay relevant and stay present in front of the customer. We want to make sure that our small business owners let their customers know that they are here and they are ready to service their needs.
Absolutely. Now, the pandemic has actually given online business a sales boost. For the small business owner, how important is it for them to now have a digital plan?
One of the things that we really encourage our small businesses to do is to set up a pop-up and let your customers know that you are there. One of the things that you can do is send out something to all your friends, your family, your contacts, and then ask them to invite someone. If they do that, that helps to spread the word about the products and the services that you offer. And the reason that becomes so important is we all know that word of mouth is one of the best ways to get your sales up.
Yeah, even with social media, word of mouth is still so powerful. Now, sometimes business promote inventory that they are in the process of restocking. Should business promote inventory that they do not have, though?
Only if they're going to do something such as a pre-sale. It's not a bad idea to let consumers know that we have some of the goods and services that you're looking for, but we may not have them in at the very moment. I tell you, I've done some things, purchased some things that way myself, and it's been great. As long as I knew it was coming, I was willing to go ahead and spend the dollars on it.
You were all for it, huh?
Absolutely.
What's the biggest turn off for an online shopper, though? Because a lot of people online shopping with the pandemic, but what's the turn off to make them possibly go away and never come back to that spot?
Well, a couple of things. One, it's really important that you have a very easy sales process and checkout process. I don't know about anybody else, but it is so annoying when I can't get straight to what I'm trying to do. So if I've got a bunch of things in cart, I want to know that it's an easy checkout process. I want to know I can keep shopping or continue adding things to the cart. So that's one thing. And then the other thing that I think becomes really important is that you've got to make just the whole process and the entire shopping experience really for the customer. And if you do that, it's going to keep the customer coming back over and over again.
That is so true. Now, Kimberly, online shopping will be huge over the holiday season. We're talking about Cyber Monday. It's going down today, right? What are some tips you can provide our small business owners, though?
Well, one of the things that I say to my small business owners is it's really important to remind your customers of who you are, what you do, and how you can help. While everybody's online shopping at the big box retailers, go ahead and start sharing your products and your services online via your social media so that people know we have the goods. We have the things that you want as well, not just the big box retailers. So one of the things I definitely encourage my small business owners to do, keep reminding people, keep touching them, keep reminding them of how much you have things that can be of service and that can help them as well.
Yeah, you definitely have to be consistent, especially if you're a small business with so much competition out there. But what's the best way to market an online store?
Ooh, and the market, one of the things that I always tell people is keep touching. Keep touching. It takes 7 touches to close a deal. It takes 13 touches before you can actually close a sale. So I tell people, keep sending email blasts and text messages, everything. Keep touching that customer to keep that relationship strong and going.
Okay. And before we let you go, can you tell us about the Southern California Virtual Business Center? Tell us about that, please.
Absolutely. Thanks to the generous sponsorship of a number of our different partners, we're able to train diverse businesses for the capacity for corporate and government contracts. We just had an amazing cohort to finish just now where we teach businesses, I know in the time of the pandemic, people are trying to figure out what to do next, but if you can scale your business by acquiring corporate and government contracts, it's going to make your business definitely be around past the pandemic.
Okay, it's a win-win for everyone. All right. Can any of our soulmates participate in this?
Absolutely. Visit us online at scvirtualbusinesscenter.com. And we have a number of programs and cohorts that are available to assist the business owner. I always tell people we have programming that is second to none. And the reason for that is because I, as a business owner, understand their challenge and have been through everything that they've been through. So in the programming that we design, it's specific to help businesses get to that next level.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today on The Black Report. You definitely motivated those people out there for this Money Making Monday. And enjoy your holidays, and we'll see you soon, okay?
Thank you, and happy holidays to you.
All right, take care.
I love that. 13 touches to make a sale. That's, I like that. Okay, now a majority of voters support President-elect Joe Biden canceling up to $50,000 of student debt per person. A new Hill-Harris X poll is finding now 60% of registered voters in the November 17th through 19th survey said that they are in support of the idea. By contrast, 40% of voters said that they do not support this measure. 84% of Democratic voters are supporting Biden canceling up to $50,000 in student loan debt per person, along with 57% of independent voters. Now, by contrast, 66% of Republican respondents oppose this measure. The survey follows a push from progressive Democratic lawmakers and activists to cancel at least some of the estimated $1.6 trillion student loan debt that roughly 44 million Americans owe. Now, I have to say, I went to 2 colleges, so just imagine my student loan debt is through the roof. So this $50,000 would give me like financial freedom at this point.
I'm trying to figure out who would actually be opposed to this. Like, I can't even understand the argument for that.
Right.
Yeah. Right. I mean, Joe Biden himself is somewhat opposed to it, which is so frustrating. He's really going to have to be pushed on this. Right now, he's saying he wants Congress to approve $10,000 per person. But that is not comparable to people who are saying $50,000 immediately, one of your first things by way of executive order, so it just gets done. I don't understand even why he would oppose this. Why not? This is great. It stimulates the economy when you give people more money to spend on it.
You're so right. And you think about it, 90% of black people that had loans, say they had it 20 years ago, 90% of them sometimes still owe the same amount because they never get a chance to get ahead.
That's right, the interest.
The interest just keeps them in the red, which is so unfortunate.
I agree.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with this. All right, a panel of U.S. advisors will meet Tuesday to vote on how SCRS, initial supplies on a COVID-19 vaccine, will be given out once it has been approved. Experts have proposed giving the vaccine to health workers first. High priority also may be given to workers in essential industries, people with certain medical conditions, and people aged 65 and older. Tuesday's meeting is for the Advisory Committee of Immunization Practices, a group established by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The panel of experts recommends who to vaccinate and when, advice that the government almost always follows. Pfizer and its German partner, BioNTech, have asked the Food and Drug Administration to allow emergency use of its COVID-19 vaccine candidate. Moderna, Inc. is expected to also seek emergency use of its vaccine soon. FDA scientific advisors are holding a public meeting December 10th to review Pfizer's request and send a recommendation to the FDA. Manufacturers already have begun stockpiling coronavirus vaccine doses in anticipation of eventual approval, but the first shots will be in short supply and rationed out. There's so many different scenarios I'm hearing that it could happen by late December, and then a majority of the country, it could happen by March, maybe April. Sometimes, honestly, I feel like some of these college students, 18 to 24, should get it first. Because they're out and about, they're away at college, they're coming back home. You think about the holidays. I think they should be one of the first in line to get it.
Medical health officials. They're the ones that they're the frontline soldiers here. They're the ones that are consistently putting their own health and their family's health at risk in order to deal with the rising rate of people suffering from the infection rate. So they're the ones that I'm sorry, I will feel so much more comfortable if medical health professionals are the first ones to say, yes, I took it, it's fine, you all go ahead, the general public.
But can the college students go second, though? Because I really feel like they're the one most at risk. What do you think?
I'm still anti-vaccine, guys. I'm sorry.
So you're not even for it?
I'm not. I haven't been sold 100% yet. I'm just afraid. I think honestly, like I haven't taken the flu shot. Like I'm not there yet. Sorry. Maybe you guys will help me get there.
Okay.
I might have a few suggestions for you, just in case you want to get on a plane, because that's going to happen. I mark my words. U.S. Surgeon General Jerome Adams has cautioned people to be smart with their celebrations this year to help reduce the spread of the coronavirus recently on Good Morning America. Adams applied his warning to outgoing President Donald Trump's White House, which plans on hosting in-person indoor holiday parties despite soaring numbers of COVID-19 infections, hospitalizations, and deaths nationwide. When asked if the White House holiday parties could potentially become super spreader events, as the election night party held at the White House is believed to have been, Adams replied in the affirmative.
Everyone to understand that these holiday celebrations can be super spreader events, so we want them to be smart and we want them to be as small as possible. But again, go to cdc.gov, look at those tips for everyone. These apply to the White House, they apply to the American people. They apply to everyone. We want you to stay safe so we can get to a vaccine.
Yeah, now he seems sensible, but we're talking about the White House, the current administration. Yeah. The White House has said that their annual Hanukkah reception and Christmas party would only involve a small guest list, with attendees mandated to wear face masks. But critics have their doubts, given that the president has repeatedly flouted his own government's safety recommendations. He also held multiple crowded campaign rallies during the 2020 election, where his maskless supporters stood in close quarters despite health experts' advice to socially distance. Yet we already know no one's wearing a mask, and we know that it's going to be a huge shindig at the White House.
For sure. And if they do wear the mask, like most parties that you see, they're going to start with the mask, and then gradually, as music and drinks and things start going, the mask just disappear.
That wine starts flowing. Off comes the mask.
The lips start showing. The mask comes off, right?
What a career, though, to have your entire career focused on health and health of the people, and then find yourself working for a man who has you on national TV not being able to specifically say in a pandemic you shouldn't be having a party because his boss is going to be throwing one.
Yeah, and the thing at the end of the day is Trump is going to have this party. He's putting 125% in just saying, look, this election was a fraud, which we know it isn't. He's putting nothing into the American economy. He's putting nothing in saying, look, we need to go ahead and mask up. Matter of fact, some people even say, if he would apologize once he got COVID-19 and said, I made a mistake, let's do better, he may have had a better chance of winning.
All right. Congresswoman Maxine Waters did not get to spend the Thanksgiving holiday with her family in California. Instead, she was in Washington working on a new coronavirus relief bill for the American public. Waters let us in a tweet, writing, home alone in Washington, husband in L.A., spending the day plotting on the Republicans about how I'm going to kick butt to get another stimulus plan to put food on the table for so many families in need. Must pass HEROES Act. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Of course, the HEROES Act refers to the Health and Economic Recovery Omnibus Emergency Solutions Act, which House Democrats did pass back in May. That was blocked, though, by the Republican-led Senate. Dems then revised the bill and resubmitted it in October, but Republicans blocked it again. Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer say they will use the HEROES Act as a starting point for a new coronavirus relief bill, according to The Hill. Senator Schumer says the HEROES Act passed in the House does meet this moment. It doesn't pick and choose who we're going to help during the greatest health and economic crisis in decades. And, she's right to be working on it right now because people cannot wait until the new administration comes in. They need something by the end of the year because what a lot of people are forgetting is at the end of the year, a lot of those protections end. So rent protections, obviously, right now, student loan repayment, we were just talking about that. And millions of people are still unemployed and they need money now, yesterday. They need help.
I don't know about you guys, but if I had anything to do with that Senate nomination, I would give it straight to Auntie Maxine.
Exactly.
Yes.
I was
replacing Kamala
thing.
Harris. Yes.
You took the words out of my mouth. Auntie Maxine, like that's what we call her on social media. Like she's totally deserving of it for sure.
Oh, yeah. She definitely gets a W doing this through the holidays. She's there for the cause. We're talking about maybe 50 million people could be facing hunger. We're talking about the 12 million Americans that could lose their job benefits around Christmas time. So the struggle is real, and she realizes that, and she's trying to get money in our pockets, man. So salute to you.
Yes, Romeo. And talking about her being down for the cause, like not being around her family, we love you, Auntie Maxine. All right, now coming up, news on the Catholic Church. Faison Love, 2 culture icons pass, and find out what happened on this very day today in Black history. Have all those stories and more coming up next on The Black Report.
It's all of our responsibility to slow the spread of the coronavirus. So follow guidance from authorities where you live and stay home unless absolutely necessary. You can still use your outdoor spaces like yards and decks. It's also okay to go for a walk or exercise outside. Wear a cloth face covering, stay at least 6 feet away from other people, try not to touch any surfaces, and wash your hands for at least 20 seconds as often as possible. Visit coronavirus.gov for the latest information.
Welcome back to The Black Report on Fox Soul, your daily source for news, views, and opinions. If you're just tuning in, here's what you've missed. President-elect Joe Biden announced an all-women senior White House communications team. The pressure is on for California's Governor Gavin Newsom to appoint a replacement for Vice President-elect Kamala Harris's Senate seat. LAPI President Patrice Marshall joined us today to talk all about that highly sought-after seat. We got to look at Time's Up Charity's first-year tax filings. Suspected extremists kill at least 40 farmers in Nigeria. Online Black Friday sales hit a record high, and Kimberly Roth joined us to discuss online business tips. There's a new poll out on student loan debt. We broke it down. A CDC panel meets tomorrow to vote on COVID-19 vaccine priority. The Surgeon General issues what he calls a dire COVID-19 warning, and Representative Maxine Waters is working on a new coronavirus relief bill. To get the full scoop, download the Fox Soul app to watch today's The Black Report. We are also on Roku, Apple TV, YouTube, Samsung, and Fire TV, right, Romeo?
That's right. And you know what's next? As DJ Khaled would say, we got another one because it's official. Wilton Gregory, the Archbishop of Washington, D.C., became the first Black American to earn the rank of Cardinal on Saturday. Gregory, who was already the highest-ranking African-American Catholic in U.S. history, gained national attention in June when he condemned President Trump's trip to a D.C. shrine, saying that at the time that the facility was being egregiously misused and manipulated. Gregory was also the only American among 13 men elevated to the College of Cardinals during Saturday's ceremony at the Vatican, per CNN. Gregory tested negative for COVID-19 before traveling to Italy and was tested again upon arrival before quarantining for 10 days at the Pope's Hotel. The Vatican is presently under a partial lockdown as Pope Francis' public general audiences is canceled and instead live streamed. What he's saying is, Gregory said in an interview that he hopes to be a voice for the African-American community in the Pope's ear, according to the Washington Post. Among the people that have congratulated me and wished me well, friends and colleagues, I've heard this. It's about time, Gregory said. But it is also important of recognition that the African-American, the Black Catholic community is an important component within the larger universal church.
According to The Hollywood Reporter, actor Faison Love has filed a lawsuit against Universal for leaving him and the actress that played his wife, Callie Hawk, off posters promoting the 2009 movie Couples Retreat. Love and Hawk were were the only couple that wasn't white. People ask, why now? One, because Universal is still using the edited poster to promote the movie overseas. Two, no one said anything when they went back 10 years and asked @KevinHartForReal to explain his tweet that kept him from hosting the Oscars. Not one person said, why now? This was a tweet that Faison Love put out. According to the lawsuit Love filed, he stated he was aghast when finding out that Universal excluded him and Hawk Hawk in the domestic movie poster, but took the couple off of the international version. According to Variety, Love stated, "They have not only hurt me financially, they have hurt me in a deeper way by dismissing me because of my blackness. And they have hurt all black performers by continuing to perpetuate racism in the movie industry. I want to ensure that future generations don't have to endure the racism and the whitewashing that I experienced." Sorry about that, guys, but that was a lot. I'm really passionate about that, specifically just because I'm a really big Faison Love fan. And I have noticed that when it comes to international promotion for movies, they don't promote black faces because they feel like other races and other nationalities, ethnic groups won't be able to identify with the stories that we tell. So the only movie stars that actually get international promotion are huge stars like Will Smith or Denzel Washington.
Yeah. It's a very small amount, but y'all better cut Big Worm another check and give him that respect. If you've seen Friday, you know what I'm talking about. Also, you can check him out in Elf. I've known this guy for years. He's a real one, man, and I agree with him 100%. Like, if we're going to do this right from the beginning, you can't switch it up like that.
Right.
Like, what are you saying by doing that?
Right. You know what they're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Even on the movie poster, I think when they were on it, they were like all the way very small in the back. You couldn't even really see them. So get that coin, Faison Love. I totally am here for it. Now, speaking of movies, Dave Prowse, the British weightlifter turned actor who was the body, though not the voice of arch-villain Darth Vader in the original Star Wars trilogy, has died. He was 85. Prowse died Saturday after a short illness, his agent Thomas Boyington said on Sunday. Prowse donned Darth Vader's black armor and helmet for Star Wars in 1997. Also, The Empire Strikes Back in 1980. The Return of the Jedi. The list goes on. That was in 1983. Now, he was a regular at Star Wars fan events, but he was banned from official conventions by Lucas in 2010 after the pair fell out. Now, Mark Hamill, who played Luke Skywalker in the Star Wars films, he tweeted that Prowse was a kind man and much more than Darth Vader. Hamill said the actor loved his fans just as much as they loved him, and he said #RIP. Now, think fast, everyone. Do you guys know that who was the voice of Darth Vader?
Mufasa.
Of course we do.
If you're watching the Black Report, you better know.
You better know. Okay? For all the people out there that might not know, the official voice was James Earl Jones. And so I feel like James Earl Jones, he got so much credit for Darth Vader, but we didn't really give Dave the credit. We didn't give him his flowers, and it's sad that he's gone now, and we have to give him his flowers while he's gone.
That's true. One of our bosses was pointing out how that's something you never saw before, a white actor not being able to voice their character. They brought in a black man, and we know of James Earl Jones. He's the voice now. But back then, he was, still pretty new in the game, and that's huge.
That's true, yeah.
All right, prominent Black Kentucky artist Helen LaFrance has died. Her painted memories of rural life in Kentucky are featured in U.S. and European museums, as well as in the collections of well-known personalities like Oprah Winfrey. LaFrance was 101 years old.
I used to try to paint before I learned how to write. When I first started trying to paint, my father was still living then. He didn't want me to paint people. He said, no, don't do that, that'll get you into trouble. You might do somebody's picture and they didn't think it looked like them and they'd be mad at you.
I love her. She died in Mayfield, Kentucky Sunday, according to Brown Funeral Home. LaFrance was self-taught, and her work showed people at church, family gatherings, funerals, and other aspects of small-town life in western Kentucky. One of her first known public works is a mural in the St. James AME Church in Mayfield. It was completed in 1947. LaFrance has also worked in wood carving and quilting. Later on in life, she actually worked in a hospital, tobacco barns, and a ceramic factory where she decorated whiskey bottles. She didn't begin painting her well-known memory paintings full-time until 1986 when she was in her late 60s.
Now, here's what happened today in Black history. Vincent Edward Bo Jackson, he is celebrating his 58th birthday. Jackson is an American former professional baseball and football player. He is the only professional athlete in history to be named an all-star in both baseball and football. That is actually so cool. Now, today we also remember Shirley Chisholm, who was born on this very day. Chisholm was the first Black woman elected in the United States Congress, and she also became the first Black majority party candidate to run for president of the United States in 1972. Chisholm coined the phrase, I love it, if they don't give you a seat at the table, you bring a folding chair. I love that. Also today in Black history, the Caribbean island nation of Barbados became independent from the United Kingdom on November 30th in 1966 with the passing of the Barbados Independence Act by the Parliament of the United Kingdom. With the passing of the act, Barbados became the fourth English-speaking country in the West Indies to gain full independence from the United Kingdom. And that is all the awesomeness that happened today in Black history.
All right, up next we got more news, views, and opinions right here on The Black Report.
We might root for different teams, but we all respect the game. And we can all root for each other when we wear a mask. Mask up, America.
We're living out a moment in history right now, where the decisions we make today will affect generations for years to come. No longer will we remain silent. No longer will we allow injustice to prevail. Whether Black, white, Native, Asian, Latinx, we have an obligation to all humanity to ensure that equality is truly meant for all. Together we will make a difference, because the time for change is now.
Do people still use Pandora?
Pandora, old news, because that's all I use.
Oh, God.
Tamika Tiny Harris presents The Mix.
You just gave your age. You
Romeo. No, you really did, Romeo.
Every Tuesday night.
Does that No, let me finish. I am speaking.
Tom, she Kamala me. She did. She Kamala you, boy. Better than Kamala did it.
Social distancing. Staying 6 feet apart from others. A little thing that makes a big difference. Learn more now at coronavirusnow.com.
Welcome back to The Black Report. We are your daily source for Black news, views, and opinions. The U.S. women's national soccer team recently wore jackets with the words Black Lives Matter on them. They did this Friday when they had a friendly match in the Netherlands. Some of the players also took a knee during the national anthem to protest racial injustice and police brutality back here at home in the U.S. Player Alex Morgan posted this: We wear Black Lives Matter to affirm human decency. She added, we protest against the racist infrastructures that do not provide equal opportunity for Black and brown people to fulfill their dreams, including playing on this team. Now, the team members have spoken out in support of NFL players who have taken a knee during the national anthem. You know, the women's soccer team is fighting its own discrimination battle right now. They want to make the same money as the U.S. men's team, and there's a pretty good argument for it, too. The women are World Cup champs and 4-time Olympic gold medalists. The men have never come out on top in either venue. Friday's match was a bit of a rematch of last year's World Cup final against the Netherlands team. And would you know, the U.S. women's team, they won again by the same score this time, 2-0. This is just a good show of we are powerful when we work together, fighting our own battle and also willing to fight ours, because equality is equality.
It really is. At the end of the day, to see this, and all the sports and national teams do this, but the leader of this country refuses to embrace it and support it, kind of shows you why our soulmates went out and voted this time around. We just got to keep that same energy moving forward, right?
Yeah. Let me tell you something. If the U.S. women's soccer team, or I should say the Time's Up movement, had a joint, connected themselves, they probably wouldn't be in the position that they are right now, facing all this scrutiny. The story that we talked about earlier today. The U.S. soccer team would have been a really good headline for them to move all the attention away from the taxes and salary story.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
shouts out to them, man, for doing that, standing up.
Well, Mike Tyson stepped through the ropes in his signature black trunks and heard the opening bell in a boxing ring for the first time in 15 years. The former heavyweight champion of the world traded lively punches with Roy Jones Jr. for 8 entertaining rounds that ended with the two middle-aged legends warily hugging each other in mutual admiration. The fight was only an exhibition and it ended in a draw. "I'm happy I'm not knocked out," Tyson said. "I'll look better in the next one. I took my youth for granted," Tyson said. "This event made me find out what I was really made of. My body feels splendid. I want to beat it up some more." Tyson intends to fight in more exhibitions next year, perhaps heading to Monte Carlo next to challenge a European fighter. He didn't close the door on the possibility of a full-fledged comeback, however. The Godfather, Snoop Dogg, his witty television commentary was among the loudest noises inside Staples. And he had a handful of zingers, kind of like, "This looks like two of my uncles fighting at the barbecue."
I love that.
Snoop had me rolling.
Yo.
I really love middle-aged legends. I don't know why I really love that term so much, like middle-aged legends.
You're still trying to give them their respect, but kind of
it's
saying.
Not, exactly, because it's not being disrespectful. It's just kind of like, we're middle-aged.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, they had a draw, but the real winner was Snoop Dogg. He could commentate anything. I would love for him to do like a golf match. I would watch that on a Sunday afternoon, whether Tiger was playing or not. And the loser, we all saw Nate Robinson. Y'all saw the memes on this dude.
Whoa.
Listen.
Yo.
You know what? It's honestly
Chris Tucker said it best.
It's the Nate Robinson challenge where people were like on the floor. It was just disrespectful.
Did you even Snoop's comments during that? I saw the clip. He was like, "Oh, Lord," when he fell. Do you remember how he was dying? I was like, give Snoop an Emmy now.
That was worse. That was worse getting a fight to see that. It's sorry to say, but this dude did call him out. He called him out, and he got knocked up out for real.
But imagine one of the middle-aged legends that happened to them. Like, I'm happy it was,
Get that money, Tyson. I ain't mad at you.
This is true.
Now, the San Francisco 49ers and other teams may need to find a temporary new home after Santa Clara County on Saturday banned all contact sports from holding games and practices for the next 3 weeks. County officials issued the directives in responding to rising cases of the coronavirus in the area. The rules take effect today and will last until December 21st. The 49ers have home games scheduled for December 7th against Buffalo and December 13th against Washington at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara. The team also practices at the same site in the county. Quote, "We are working with the NFL and our partners on operational plans and will share details as they are confirmed," the team said in a statement. Along with banning contact sports, the new rules also require anyone who has traveled more than 150 miles from the county to quarantine for 14 days. The 49ers played against the Los Angeles Rams yesterday, but returned from that trip before the rules went into effect. This pandemic is like a high-speed train, and our projections tell us that we're on target to derail by around the 3rd week of December, says Santa Clara County Health Officer Dr. Sarah Cody. "If we don't apply brakes right now, with all of our collective might." She's correct. And if you think about it, we know here in Los Angeles, we have a safe at home order right now. So there's questions will the Rams and Chargers be able to play their games as well here at the stadium. If not, where are these teams going to go? But I feel so bad because I feel like most of these games, we're not getting the starters because of COVID-19. So many players are testing positive, so it's so unfortunate that we're not getting the real authentic football right now.
Well, I think that people like to gather using sports. People use sports as a reason to gather in their homes and have parties. I feel like December 21st actually isn't long enough. Like, even though my Thanksgiving was like lonely being at home, I feel like it really forced us to be in the house. And I feel like December 21st is still right before Christmas. I feel like it should go past Christmas.
It really should. And New Year's.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we should skip past both of those because if not, people are going to use the game as a reason to gather. So,
well, that's an interesting point.
Then they'll hop back on the plane again.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Up next, news on Michael Jordan and Barack Obama. Plus, a young man gets a surprise call from Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. Details coming up on The Black Report.
We're all just trying to keep things running for those who rely on us. That's why we don't have time to be sick with the flu.
We don't have time for delays.
We don't have time for spills.
Next.
We don't have time for setbacks. Let's be real.
Getting the flu shot
helps you fight the flu.
Get a flu shot for yourself and those around you, too.
Let's talk Breonna Taylor.
Fox Soul presents
Breonna Taylor is a real emotional topic for me.
Worth a Conversation with Jeezy.
I fight for Breonna Taylor, but I really fight for the Breonna in me.
Every Wednesday.
It could happen to me literally at any moment if we accept how this young woman was killed and she did absolutely nothing.
Never have I ever dated a friend's ex.
Cocktails with the Queens, hosted by Claudia Jordan.
Ooh, Selena and Vivica. Take a drink.
I mean, that was before I was into like girl code, but it was just this one dude.
Somebody almost wore me down one time. He was fine, but I want to let my friend know. I almost want to say a name and let her know that I had your back because I really wanted to do it. I did not.
Every Monday night.
If you have an idea for a game, please make sure to send us a suggestion to any of our inboxes, and we're going to rock with y'all. This is all of our show.
Welcome back to The Black Report. This is a space where we inform, inspire, and educate. Former President Barack Obama, already a million-selling author, is also a prize-winning author. PEN America recently announced that Obama will receive its second annual Voice of Influence Award in recognition of his writings have traversed political, social, and ideological bounds and framed a self-reflecting humanism that has marked his influence on public life. Obama, whose memoir, A Promised Land, came out last week, will be honored December 8th at the Literary and Human Rights Organization Annual Gala, to be held virtually because of the coronavirus. During the ceremony, Obama and historian Ron Chernow, a former PEN board president, will discuss freedom of expression and the importance of truth in a world of misinformation. Obama's previous books include Dreams from Our Father and The Audacity of Hope. As an organization of writers, we have always seen President Obama not just as a leader, but as one of us, an author. His probing and evocative narratives help introduce the world to his unique background and the power of his life experience as a prompt toward a more pluralistic and encompassing society, PEN America CEO Suzanne Nozzle said in a statement. PEN presented its first Voice of Influence Award in 2019 to filmmaker Ava DuVernay.
Michael Jordan has donated $2 million to local food banks in the Carolinas and Chicago. And according to Variety, this $2 million came from the money he made from his docuseries, The Last Dance. Jordan reportedly made $3 to $4 million for participating in the Emmy-winning 10-part ESPN docuseries that detailed his last season with the Chicago Bulls. Jordan sent over a statement, and it reads, "In these challenging times and in a year of unimaginable difficulty due to COVID-19, it's more important than ever to pause and give thanks. I am proud to be donating additional proceeds from The Last Dance to Feeding America and its member food banks in the Carolinas and Chicago to help feed America's hungry. Jordan previously announced he would donate earnings from the hit series to Friends of the Children. Now, that's a mentorship nonprofit dedicated to breaking the cycle of generational poverty. The NBA legend also recently pledged to donate $100 million over the next 10 years to organizations dedicated to fighting for racial equality. His donation came 5 days after he released a statement condemning George Floyd's death at the hands of Minneapolis police in May. This is what he wrote. Black lives matter. This isn't a controversial statement. Until the ingrained racism that allows our country's institutions to fail is completely eradicated, we will remain committed to protecting and improving the lives of Black people.
This last story will inspire you for sure. A teen artist from California asked his Twitter followers to share his painted portrait of Vice President-elect Kamala Harris to improve the chances that she'd see it. Now, the tweet included a time-lapse video of Tyler Gordon painting his portrait of Harris with the Golden Gate Bridge in its background. Chelsea Clinton, the daughter of former President Bill Clinton and 2016 Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton, and San Jose Mayor Sam Liccardo helped spread Gordon's message on Twitter. Gordon learned Harris had seen it, and how, you might ask, she called to thank him.
Yeah.
It's cool stuff. Thank you all for watching. We appreciate it, soulmates.
That's right, man. Make sure you tune in with us tomorrow. Until next time,
be safe
and be well. Up next, it's the Book of Sean. We did it.
We did it.
Happy first day, Jimmy.
Thank
We're glad to have you.